Hey, have you ever stopped to think that maybe, just maybe, your entire retirement plan is fundamentally flawed? Well, let's dive into this explainer today, because we're going to completely rethink everything you've ever been taught about saving for the future. Everyone plans for their later years like it's just this simple math problem of endless accumulation. But today, we're looking at why the standard playbook might literally be stealing your absolute best years. We're going to break down exactly how to stop just hoarding numbers on a screen and start converting your hard-earned dollars into deeply meaningful days. So the core assumption most of us make when we sit down to plan is honestly completely backwards. Standard financial advice treats retirement like this long, flat, 30-year highway. We just assume our energy, our mobility, and our abilities are never going to change. You kind of tell yourself you'll have the exact same bucket list and the exact same needs at age 65 as you will at 85, so you'll just get to it eventually. But I've got to tell you, that is a really dangerous illusion. Let's actually look at the math your financial advisor probably isn't putting in front of you. The jarring reality is that you do not have 30 years of prime, unrestricted activity. If you retire at 62, you likely only have about 5,000 to 8,000 prime, healthy days left. Not years, days. Just let the smallness of that number sink in for a second, because it totally changes the entire equation. Now, the reason that number is so shockingly small comes down to this really stark contrast between your life expectancy, which, could easily stretch to 85 or 87 if you take good care of yourself, and your health span. Your health span is the actual window where your body confidently says yes to all the things you want to do. It's that sweet spot where you can comfortably hike, travel, chase your grandkids around, and just fully live out your bucket list. And for a massive portion of the population, that health span window slams shut right around age 74. So do the math there. That leaves you with a usable, highly active retirement window of only about 13 years. 13! And this is exactly why optimizing your portfolio for maximum growth at age 70 is focusing on entirely the wrong variable. You aren't just losing a decade at the very end of your life. If you wait too long to enjoy it, you are potentially losing the entire usable part of your freedom. The absolutely crucial point here is that retirees often dramatically underspend. In fact, so many people die with way more money than they actually retired with, basically making them the richest person in the cemetery. We spend decades and decades accumulating a number, and then completely forget that money is renewable. You can always make more money, or at least manage it differently to stretch it out. But your prime years, those are entirely non-renewable. There's simply no version of reality where you can manufacture more of those active, vibrant years. All right, let's move into section 1, the 3 phases of retirement. You see, we all naturally take a very specific journey. First up, you've got the go-go years in your early 60s to mid-70s. This is peak everything: hiking Machu Picchu, exploring the world, being super active. Your highest spending should naturally happen right here. Next up are the slow-go years, usually mid-70s to mid-80s, where your energy just naturally tapers off. That crazy 3-week European vacation might become just a quiet week at a local lake house, so your spending organically declines. And finally, the no-go years, from your mid-80s onward, where spending shifts heavily away from discretionary joy and much more toward healthcare. When you lay it out clearly like that, it becomes incredibly obvious that traditional planning has a massive design flaw. We actively ration our capital during the exact years we are physically capable of enjoying it, only to preserve it for those no-go years where we can do the absolute least. It's wild. We save maximum capital for the phase where we extract the absolute least life out of every single dollar. Which brings us to section 2, the someday trap. Think about it. You spend 30 or maybe 40 years building this incredibly powerful muscle of not spending. You skip the big trip, you skip the upgrade, you delay gratification for this magical, totally undefined concept of someday. You've basically trained yourself to defer. You save the good wine for a special occasion that literally never arrives. But when retirement finally hits, that ingrained habit doesn't just magically turn off, right? You stay a disciplined saver. But listen to me, someday is not an actual plan. It's just a deferral with absolutely no deadline attached to it. For those of you who have diligently saved your entire lives, the actual danger sitting right there in your blind spot isn't overspending. Seriously, you've already conquered that risk through decades of rock-solid discipline. No, the true danger is tragically underliving relative to the financial freedom you have already earned the right to enjoy. So how do we fix this? Let's look at section 3, the new asset class.
We're going to borrow a brilliant concept from Bill Perkins' book Die with Zero, called the memory dividend. Think about a really hilarious road trip you took, say 10 years ago. You didn't just enjoy it once and then poof, it was gone. You get to re-spend that joy every single time you tell this story at a dinner party, or look at an old photo, or hear a song that transports you right back to that car. It pays out this compounding emotional return for the rest of your life, just in a completely different currency than your brokerage account. And the timing of when you actually buy that asset matters tremendously. The earlier you buy that experience, like say taking that big trip at 65 instead of 80, the longer you get to collect that compounding memory dividend. I mean, you wouldn't buy a 10-year bond right before it matures, right? So you shouldn't do the emotional equivalent with your life experiences. If you delay it too long, you only collect those dividends for a tiny fraction of the time.
All right, let's get practical. Section 4, the actionable framework. Here is your 5-step regret-proof framework. These 5 moves are specifically designed to help you safely hack that stubborn saver mindset and optimize your life experiences so you can actually align your spending with your real health span. Let's break these down step by step. First, you absolutely must deliberately budget more for the initial 10 to 12 years of retirement to match your biological health span curve. You aren't being reckless here, you are just matching your money to your physical capability. Second, you can do this fearlessly once your essential expenses are locked in. Once the basics like housing and food are fully covered by boring, guaranteed income like Social Security or pensions, you can spend the rest of your portfolio without that nagging fear of not being able to keep the lights on. Next up is step 3, and honestly, this one is crucial. You have to understand that strength training and social engagement are quite literally the highest leverage investments you can possibly make. By investing your time and your money into a stronger body, you are directly extending the number of active days you have left. You are literally buying yourself extra prime go-go years that absolutely no stock market index fund could ever provide. Finally, steps 4 and 5. You have to break the someday habit by putting a hard, exact date on your calendar. Saying, oh, someday I'll go to Japan is just a wish. But saying, March 2027, cherry blossom season, now that is a plan that creates real urgency. And you need to explicitly prioritize spending your money on shared experiences with the people you love. Because when we actually look at the data, the research consistently shows that out of every single category of retirement spending, sharing these moments with family and friends has the strongest, most consistent link to long-term happiness. It's not the solo cruise, it's not the upgraded luxury car, it's that messy, fun trip with your kids or the long dinner with your oldest friends. Relationships truly are the highest yielding asset in this entire regret-proof portfolio. Which brings us to our final point, Section 5, measured in memories. Look, while expense ratios and tax efficiency absolutely matter to your bottom line, they're not the main point of your life's work. The true measure of your financial success isn't just your withdrawal rate or how many basis points you manage to save. It's so much deeper than that. The regret-proof portfolio measures success by how many "I can't believe we're actually here" moments those dollars were able to create. It's about making sure that when you finally reach those later no-go years and look back, you have this massive wealth of compounded memories and absolutely nothing left sitting on the shelf unconverted. The real goal of this next chapter is becoming a wise spender who knows exactly how to turn dollars back into days. So as you look at your own retirement numbers today, I want to leave you with one final question to ask yourself. How many meaningful days will your portfolio actually buy you?